for Peace and Progress, I welcome all of you to this event. Center for Peace and Progress is a voluntary organization founded by Mr. O.P. Shah, works extensively towards improving Indo-Pak relations. We have been arranging several cross-border discussions and debates, basically to drill down into factors which have impacted the hostilities across the two countries. All these discussions, all these debates are attended by eminent speakers, personalities from both countries. Some of us sitting here have been a part of that. And it's actually leading very gradually to a mitigation plan which would reduce hostilities and improve our relations. I welcome all of you to the launch of our book, In Pursuit of Peace, Improving Indo-Pak Relations, Volume 2. This is a compilation of essays and articles by eminent scholars and intellectuals across India and Pakistan. The book is a sequel to our earlier book, which was published about 4 years back. The overwhelming response of our earlier book prompted this center to come out with a second edition with a wider footprint. A lot of authors are sitting here and are also joining us on Zoom. We'll be hearing very briefly from them. With this, I would like to request Shri O.P. Shah to start the proceedings of the day with his opening remarks. Thank you.
We're extremely lucky today that we have distinguished friends not only from India, but from Pakistan joining this event. And the arrangement is that we have both Indians and Pakistani will speak as briefly as possible so that more Indians and Pakistani can participate and contribute their mind. We propose to carry on the discussion till 8 o'clock. I, without wasting any more time, would request the former Vice President, Mr. Hamid Ansari, to release the book in the distinguished company of Mr. Manishankar Iyer, Dr. Abdullah, Kapil Kak Saab, and many others. May I request you all to rise for a minute? Sorry.
Unwrapping a package is not a difficult thing. Hey.
Farooq Abdullah Saab has decided to speak at the end, being the elder statesman. This is his choice, and he wants to stick to this arrangement. He always speaks at the end. Ansari Saab.
My job is very simple. I was asked to unravel the book package, which I have done with considerable ease. And the book is before you. I would not be commenting in any great length on the contents of the book. I've had the privilege of having seen the first volume, and all I have to say is that Shah is a very persistent human being. He has been at it for a long time, perhaps 20 years, and this is the second volume. So he's obviously an optimist. And the evidence, the audience here today proves it. It's a very strange subject, the question of relationship between two neighbors which were born, in my view, accidentally in August 1947. But having been brought into this world for whatever reason, by whatever instruments, we could have managed ourselves better. And from time to time, we have managed ourselves better. But periodically, we have derailed and gone in different directions. Why is it so? There are no simple explanations. There are certainly no political explanations. I would suggest that the explanation has to be sought in the psychological makeup of the individuals and the collection of individuals. From time to time, we have resolved or nearly resolved all our differences. The most recent evidence being the negotiations which were conducted very successfully and very quietly on our side by my late friend Ambassador Sati Lamba and by three interlocutors on the other side. किस्मत का खेल है कि कागजात तैयार थे. As an American journalist put it, he said they had reached the stage of semicolon. And yet that final thing did not take place, not because of the two actors, but because of an accidental happening on the other side. Problem between a Chief Justice and the head of state, and the agitation carried out by the Lawyers Association in Pakistan. So the scheduled date was not adhered to. Our friends on the other side sought a postponement. India had no difficulty giving the postponement, but the postponement did not deliver what was expected. So finally, we have, and this has been said authoritatively by people on both sides, that there is a set of documents which have been negotiated down to the last comma and full stop, which satisfied both sides and which would provide basis for a new political relationship. But a political relationship is not the totality of relationship. And what has happened is that over time, we have forgotten about the human relationships that form the basis of all relationships, political, economic, cultural. Why has this happened is something I do not understand. The other day, most of you or some of you would have spared time to witness on the television the cricket match between Pakistan and India. And the strange thing is that the cricket match was being played not in Pakistan, not in India, but in Dubai. Why was it? Those who know the story, and it's not a very complex story, because they had no confidence in each other. And I was reminded of many years ago a cricket match between the teams of England and Australia in the year 1932 or 33, in which the English side deployed tactics which were considered unsportsmanlike. And it resulted in official correspondence between the British and the Australian governments. And what was the purpose of that correspondence and those tactics? Australia had a batsman who could not be checked. His name was Don Bradman.
In a beachfront villa somewhere, counting his ill-gotten gains. And between the Democrats and the Zelensky.
And to check his scoring machine, the English captain spent a good deal of time researching how Don Bradman obtained his success. And finally, through the length and breadth of the British Isles, he found a miner, coal miner, by the name of Harold Larwood, who could deliver the goods. So Larwood started adopting bowling tactics, which would, in today's language, might be called terrorism. And the average of Mr. Don Bradman came down from 95 to 30 or so. So I think this is what has happened in the relations between India and Pakistan, cricketing terms. One side found the other side not easy to equal, so they adopted bodyline tactics. But better results have been obtained in other fields. In the field of sports, in the field of culture, we have no difficulty in understanding each other. And the challenge of the day today, and I think in this book you will find innumerable instances, is that we have much in common. I don't believe in the theory that we are the same people. If we were the same people in 1947, in this year we are not. Let us accept that we are not the same people. But we cannot get away from the fact that neighbors have no choice. We are neighbors, and till eternity, we will remain neighbors. And neighbors can only live in peace with each other, or else the consequences will be very uncomfortable. This book is a contribution to that effort, and I hope it will be read, and the circle of those who contribute to this dialogue so diligently authored by O.P. Shah Sahab, the contributors will increase, and the word would go out that between these two neighbors, good or bad, whatever they may be, normal life is possible. So, Shah Sahab, I think you've done yeoman service, and I wish that this dialogue will contribute to the relationship between these two countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ansari Saab, very much for your words of encouragement and spelling out what precisely needs to be done. The articles for this book have been written by friends from Pakistan and India exclusively for the book. And they're all committed to the cause of normalcy and peace between the two countries. For them, normalcy and improvement of relationship is something which they are deeply committed. And if you read articles, you will not find even one author disagreeing that there can't be any peace. Each one of them desire there should be a peace in the subcontinent. The relations between India and Pakistan should improve. They all want that to happen. And there could be difference of opinion how to bring about the peace. There could be difference of on that subject. But as far as commitment to peace and normalcy is concerned, there is absolutely no doubt. And friends from Pakistan have come from diverse fields. And I'm happy that several of them are present with us today. I will request Jalil Abbas Jilani Saab, the former Foreign Secretary, and he also is someone who is also deeply involved in the work of peace and harmony, to offer his comments. Jilani Saab, I hope you are there. Jilani Saab, can you hear us? I saw him. He's there.
He has to be unmuted. His mic is on mute.
Yeah, I can see him there.
Well, thank you so much, Shah Saab, O.P. Shah Saab, for inviting me to this to the book launch. A wonderful book that has been produced by you. Honorable Hamid Ansari Sahab, O.P. Shah Sahab. I also see Dr. Farooq Abdullah Sahab and our very distinguished colleague, senior colleague, Mani Shankar Iyer Sahab here. And also, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to be present here for the launch of this important book. I wish that I was personally, physically present during the launch, but due to various reasons, I could not be there. This book, I have gone through the contents of this book and also written the articles written by many of our distinguished colleagues from both Pakistan and India. It is not just a collection of ideas, but a testament to the shared aspirations of millions on both sides of the border. Aspirations for peace, stability, and a better future. And I commend you, O.P. Shah Saab, for bringing together voices that seek to move beyond narrative of hostility and towards dialogue and reconciliation. Relationship between our two countries has been defined by history, geography, and at times political exigencies. But it should not be confined to conflict. The people of both our countries share a deep cultural, linguistic, and historical heritage. We have lived together for centuries and can and must find ways to coexist in a manner that benefits all of us. True peace is not the absence of war. It is the presence of justice, mutual respect, and a willingness to engage in a meaningful dialogue. Unfortunately, political rhetoric and entrenched narratives have often overshadowed the voices advocating for peace. This book certainly is an attempt to reclaim that space. It reminds us that diplomacy is not just about governments, but about people, ideas, and the courage to imagine a different future. I have absolutely no doubt that path to peace is not easy. There are outstanding issues, including Kashmir, security concerns, and economic barriers. Yet, history teaches us that even the most intractable conflicts can find resolutions when there is a political will and a commitment to dialogue. And when I talk about political will and a commitment to dialogue, I am reminded of the process which was also referred to by Honorable Hamid Ansari Sahab, that, and I'm talking about the process that we followed between 2003 and 2003 and 2008. I have absolutely no doubt that the leaders, whether from India or from Pakistan, can change the course of history by demonstrating courage and statesmanship, as was demonstrated by Prime Minister Vajpayee and late Prime Minister Manmohan Singh Sahab, way back in 2003. When Prime Minister Vajpayee made a speech, which was a very forward-looking speech in Srinagar on 18th April 2003, I thought that there would be a negative reaction from the media, from the public, to the remarks which were made by the Prime Minister when he said that India would like to engage with Pakistan and resolve the Kashmir dispute in accordance with Insaniyat, Kashmiriyat, and Jamhuriyat. I think that was a very bold and courageous statement that was made by him. And then the kind of process that the two countries followed from 2003 to 2008, in my judgment, it was perhaps the most forward-looking process and most substantive process and result-oriented process that was followed by the two countries at that time. Not only that the trade was improved from $250 million to $3 billion, we were close to the resolution of all our issues, as was rightly pointed out by Hamid Ansari Sahab. We also put in place a mechanism to address our respective concerns related to terrorism. But unfortunately, the process was disrupted due to the Mumbai terrorist attacks. Wish we had listened to the wise counsel of our senior colleague, Mani Shankar Iyer Sahab, when he said that we need uninterrupted and uninterruptible dialogue between our two countries. As someone who has been part of the diplomatic engagements between our two countries, I have seen both the challenges and the possibilities. The people of Pakistan and India deserve a future where their energies are directed towards development, prosperity, and progress rather than conflict. A peaceful South Asia is not just a moral imperative, it is an economic and strategic necessity in a rapidly evolving global landscape. And this book is a step in the right direction. It is a reminder that in the pursuit of the pursuit of peace is not just an act of weakness, but of vision and strength. It takes courage to move beyond grievances and see common ground. I hope that this book inspires new conversations, fresh perspectives, and most importantly, actions. Let us not allow the weight of history to determine our future. Let us recognize that peace is not just desirable, it is possible, and it begins with open mind, sincere dialogue, and a shared commitment to shaping a better future tomorrow. And I once again congratulate you, Mr. O.P. Shah Sahab, for producing this book. And certainly this book will go a long way in pursuing a process that would augur well for both our countries. Thank you so much.
Indeed. Since you have mentioned Mr. Manishankar Iyer's name is sitting right here, I would request him to offer his comment, but as briefly as possible. And he will be followed by Mr. Javed Jabbar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shah. My deep thanks to Dr. Ansari for having placed all the issues before us in an appropriate perspective, and to Jilani Sahab for having highlighted the positive possibilities that exist in the India-Pakistan relationship. But unfortunately, I have to begin my remarks by saying I deeply regret the contribution that I have made to this book. For it was an article which I wrote at a moment when I really thought that things were going to change. This was when our Foreign Minister Jaishankar ji went across to Islamabad for the SCO meeting. And while I had been cautioned that he would not be taking up any issue of India-Pakistan relations, the fact is that he did in fact engage with the other side and did give a hint that perhaps the breakthrough would come in the field of cricket, with India agreeing to go to Pakistan to play the Champions Trophy. So in that moment of euphoria, I wrote the article that has been reproduced here. But it was the outcome, the eventual outcome of that visit has been deeply disappointing. No action whatsoever has followed, and therefore we are still where we were before Sri Jaishankar went to Pakistan. So hopes were needlessly raised and they were then dashed. And that is just about the worst thing that can happen in the relationship between India and Pakistan. We've also refused to go to Pakistan for the SAARC meeting, with the result that the only forum in which South Asia is fully represented has been brought to a complete standstill, and that too for several years. I think the breakthrough could come if Pakistan would kindly agree to having the session in this mode, the Zoom mode. If we could have a virtual meeting of SAARC, we could perhaps then move on to another capital where India and Pakistan would inevitably meet. Certainly, in the course of the last dreadful 11 years of India-Pakistan relation, the most hopeful moment was the release posthumously of Sati Lamba's book, to which our honorable former Vice President has drawn attention. And that was Sati Lamba's book. The podium had 5 Indian high commissioners or ambassadors to Pakistan, and every one of them, whomever they had served and whichever government they had served, every one of these 5 experts on India-Pakistan relations from Islamabad, from the point of view of being our representatives to the government of Pakistan in Islamabad, they all said that we must engage in dialogue. And I think this is probably the only example, India and Pakistan, of 2 nuclear weapon powers refusing to talk to each other for more than a decade. There are far more serious differences that there were during the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union, did they ever break diplomatic relations? Did they ever refuse to talk to each other? Their differences were much greater, but still they kept themselves engaged because that is what responsible powers do. And all that I'm asking for, I'm not asking, as Jilani Saab said, for peaceful, harmonious relations. That will come in due course. I am only asking for an uninterrupted and uninterruptible dialogue. For that is the only method by which we can engage with Pakistan for long enough to be able to resolve issues. And the proof that this can be done is the program that had been prepared by Sati Lamba and Tariq Aziz with the approval of both President Musharraf as well as Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. And we would today have had nearly 7, 8 years of, 17, 18 years of some kind of a relationship between India and Pakistan that would at least be an improvement on the current situation. But that has not happened because after the Musharraf Manmohan Singh honeymoon, which was ended not because there was a divorce between the couple, but because of another incident that had absolutely nothing to do with India-Pakistan relations, we have failed to show ourselves capable of talking to Pakistan. Instead, we have a policy which has the courage to undertake surgical strikes against Pakistan, to send our Air Force into Balakot. But we don't have the courage to sit across the table and talk to the Pakistanis. What kind of courage is this? So therefore, my plea would be that the promise with which Jaishankar's visit to Islamabad last October, I think it was impregnated, and then the country was failed, we need to begin a dialogue. Where that dialogue will take us, I am an Iyer, but I'm not a Jyotish, and so I'm not going to predict that. But unless and until we involve ourselves with Pakistan on a regular, undramatic process, either on the back channel or openly, we will not be able to achieve the kind of relationship that ought to exist between two neighbors who have armed themselves with nuclear weapons, and were they to use it, it would be a disaster for the subcontinent as a whole. And as Jilani Saab said, there is so much in common between India and Pakistan, despite our having been separated for the better part of 75 years, that every Indian envoy at the ambassadorial level to Pakistan has returned saying, please talk to Pakistan. And as for consuls general like me, humble consuls general, I can only say that I have never been as overwhelmed with hospitality and affection and real regard as I was during those 3 magical years in Karachi. And therefore, I also endorse the view that both Vice President Ansari and Ambassador Jilani have said that the human relationship, unless that is encouraged, unless that is made the backbone of India-Pakistan relations, the other problems will not be solved. And even if the other problems are not entirely solved, but the human relationship is maintained by allowing people-to-people contacts, by allowing a generous visa regime, by allowing cultural exchanges, by enabling the people of India and the people of Pakistan to determine what our relationship should be, instead of leaving it to some people in South Block and some people on, I think it's called Constitution Avenue in Islamabad, where the Foreign Office is located. Let us get the people of the two countries to make progress. And as far as Kashmir is concerned, I think the formula that was worked out is the most solid basis on which we can go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aya. Mr. Javed Jabbar, and he will be followed by Ajay Bisaria. Mr. Javed Jabbar, please.
Can you hear me, Shasa? Are you
Yes.
able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, very much. Please continue.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to begin in the name of almighty peace and sanity. Thank you, Mr. Shah, for your gracious invitation. Vice President Ansari, Dr. Farooq Abdullah, Excellency Mani Shankar Iyer, and those who I cannot see, all the handsome Indians seated around this table, but I'm only able to see these four handsome men. There is no woman. Is there a gender bias, Mr. O.P. Shah? You have not included a single Indian woman in your panel. Eh? What is this? Indian suppression of minority rights? So I hope that there are women there, but I'm privileged to have been invited to contribute to this second volume. I felicitate Mr. O.P. Shah for sustaining in the face of great adversity and discouragement, perhaps by some elements, that you have produced this second volume. And I also like to felicitate the writers who have contributed their very valuable insights. I think the content of the book will hopefully be read by the current government. Please make sure that they do read it, harass them if you need to harass them. I strongly endorse the comments by the Vice President and yourself, and by Mani Shankar Iyer and Jalil Abbas Jilani Sahab. All of those are very pertinent. One may disagree with one or two elements of comments, such as the fact that we did not have confidence in each other, which is why the championship trophy is being played by India in Dubai. And with great respect, one wants to use this championship trophy as an example. And I say this, I want to stress this. I'm not saying it in a chauvinistic, narrow, parochial Pakistani way. I believe that the unreasonable insistence of India not to visit Pakistan has isolated India, contrary to the overall perception that India is a very dominant power aspiring to be a global force and surrounded by very friendly nations except for nasty Pakistan. It is India today which stands isolated, because every other participating country in the championship trophy has seen it fit and appropriate to visit Pakistan. And from this, one should derive the lesson that size and scale and might do not, in this day and age, determine the dignity and equity amongst interstate relations. Pakistan is fortunate to be a very large country, even after 1971. And it still hopes that India will revisit this whole irrational, arrogant, and totally self-defeating policy of not engaging in dialogue with Pakistan. Because one day, to carry on from what Mani said, we may have the spectacle of a suggestion being made by India that the next SAARC summit should be held in Dubai or even in Singapore. So therefore, you help Donald Trump to be replicated here, and the concept and definition of South Asia begins to include West Asia, begins to include Southeast Asia. I hope that never happens. This kind of dialogue which we are having about this book should really be in 3D. It should not be online such as it is, but that is the grimness to which we have arrived due to the inability of perhaps both governments, but may I say the Indian government, not to be able to transcend incidents that are non-state incidents of violence and terror, such as those that occurred in Mumbai in November 2008. To the credit of the Indian government at that time, that horrible incident was not allowed to stall the process of dialogue, which only illustrates for us the need for us to learn from that experience. And my last point is that at this time, I can see only one way to take this forward, which is secret back channel talks between one or two emissaries who enjoy the total confidence of the respective heads of government, meeting either in a third country or in each other's country. But it has to be secret. Both governments have become hostage, the Indian government much more than Pakistan, to media and to the vagaries of public opinion, populism. And it is not possible to carry on a dialogue that is candid and comprehensive in the full glare of media that is already so partisan and dominant and hegemonistic and aggressive. However, at the same time, track 2, track 3 should also be facilitated. And there are such track 2 processes taking place. One has just concluded in Bangkok. Perhaps others will take place again in the near future. So a combination of publicly reported dialogue, however non-productive that may be, and sustained back-channel secret dialogue, where you thrash out face-to-face all one's inhibitions and reservations. And I'm confident that through that process, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we will be able to arrive at a productive conclusion. Thank you very much for your invitation. All the best to you.
Thank you very much. May I now request the former High Commissioner of India, Ajay Visaria Saab, to offer his comment, but as brief as possible. And if we have Ashraf Jahangir Kazi Saab, who was supposed to be here, is he here? Kazi Saab? He's not there. Mr. Latif Akbar. Mr. Akbar is there. Yeah.
O.P. Shahji and distinguished participants on both sides of the border, thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here to hear all these conversations. Let me begin by commending O.P. Shahji for bringing this not just one, but 2 volumes with so much tenacity, with a focus on peace at a time when peace is not particularly fashionable. And I think this event shows your convening power of having put together such a distinguished group of folks from both sides of the border. And the volume itself, putting together 52 disparate authors and persuading them to meet a timeline, I think that is an achievement on its own. So congratulations for putting it together, for putting all these viewpoints together. I'm very conscious that I was the last Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan. In fact, the last High Commissioner in this relationship either way, because at that point there was no Pakistani High Commissioner in India when I was asked to leave Pakistan. But I did have certainly the most interesting posting of my career in Islamabad in the 2 years I spent there, making a lot of friends and having multiple conversations and dealing with some of the fascinating paradoxes of this relationship, where we have so much personal goodwill, but so much institutional hostility. Mine is one of the contributions to this book, and I offer what I think is a realist rather than an idealistic perspective. So let me just make one point, since several other points have been made already, and that is that in the 77 years of the history of this relationship, and I've even written a book on it called Anger Management. But in that relationship, I think despite the four wars, despite the terrorism, despite the anger, the pain, there has been space for leadership, there has been space for diplomacy, and there has been space for peace initiatives. And I think that's why it's commendable that with this tenacity, you go ahead with peace initiatives, because the peace constituencies in both countries are very real. I just want to respond to one point that Javed Jabbar Saab made about cricket. And I can tell you that the decision to play in Dubai rather than in Pakistan was animated by two drivers. One certainly could be argued was political, but the other one was a genuine security concern, feeling that the Indian cricket team would be particularly targeted at a time where the security situation in Pakistan is fragile. So I think that is an important point to remember. But let me end by saying just one worry that I have about this relationship on both sides. And that is that I see what I am now describing as structural pessimism. There is a pessimism about the relationship in both countries, that we can never achieve peace. This is a view that some people have in India, that with the Pakistan army, there is a structural hostility and therefore there would never be peace. And equally, when talking to friends from across the border, there is a fear that there would not be peace with the current government. And I think that is a dangerous trap to fall into, because I think that this policy of strategic neglect of the other, that thinking that we can go and progress ignoring the other country, is a dangerous trap to fall into. And therefore, I would certainly advocate strategic engagement, calibrated engagement, but finding creative ways of engaging with each other is very important, and promoting peace constituencies in either country is equally important. Let me stop there.
Thank you very much. Latif Akbar Saab, are you there? Shakil Chaudhary Saab. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, OP Shah Saab. I'm grateful for your invitation to write an article and then to attend this launch of the book. You have been described by Vice President Ansari Sahab as an optimist. I think you are incorrigible optimist. And my compliments on that. And I also welcome Jalil Abbas Jilani Sahab's statement, not only here when he said that we have so much in common. He also made a highly revealing statement, very enlightening statement in New York when he was caretaker foreign minister. He said that Pakistan has a 5,000-year-old history. That is what most Pakistanis would not say. So that was a very, very welcome statement. And I really congratulate OP Shah Saab, and I look forward to his visit to Pakistan. I hope it materializes and you are able to speak to people in Lahore, Karachi, and Islamabad at least. So, and I really look forward to that. Thank you very much.
We have our friend Mr. Arvind. He is from New Zealand, an Indian staying in New Zealand, but working for the cause of peace. He has also contributed an article, and he's here from New Zealand to attend this. Arvind.
Thank you, Shah Sahab. Well, I've just returned from a 2-week trip to Pakistan, met with countless Pakistanis, didn't encounter a single person who wasn't ready for, you know, in Pakistan to establish good ties with India. However, there were some serious concerns from the Pakistani side, and I'm sure Javed Jabbar Saab and Jilani Saab have mentioned a couple of those things. Some people from the ruling dispensation aren't here, so it would be great if I could voice a couple of their concerns and also the concerns from the ordinary citizens of Pakistan. So, Bisaria Saab just mentioned that he was the last High Commissioner um, to Pakistan from India. I spoke to a lot of people and also to some news channels over there. Everyone complained and blamed India, especially for these ties that we have, the fragile relationship that we have at the moment. And I said, look, if there is anyone to be blamed, it is Pakistan. India has not expelled the High Commissioner. So if there is anyone, so I'm sorry to I don't really want to cause any frictions anymore. We already have a very fragile, sort of relationship between the two countries. But even at the height of the Kargil war, India did not expel the Pakistani High Commissioner, not even during the Parliament attack, not even the 2008 Mumbai attacks. India made a constitutional change within its own constitution, and rightly so or wrongly so, that is for the Indian government to decide and the Indian Supreme Court. But it was Pakistan who expelled the Indian High Commissioner. So before we talk about cricketing ties or people to people connection, the first and foremost thing that we need to establish here is restore the diplomatic ties between both the countries. And the initiative should come from the Pakistani side. They should request the Indian government to appoint the Indian High Commissioner, and hopefully that will open up a channel between the two countries. Now, trade isn't happening between us. We are not even issuing visas to each other. However, I must compliment the Pakistanis. At least they are trying to issue some visas to the Indians. Yes, everyone is talking about the cricketing ties. I am really, really sorry to say we must face facts and talk about the poor individuals of both the countries. Um, Apollo Hospital alone used to see 500 liver patients in a month. I'm talking about Pakistani patients who used to travel to India. What is happening to all those individuals? So when I spoke to the civil society, I said, "Unka पुरसाने हाल पूछने वाला आज कौन है? कहाँ उनका इलाज होता होगा?" We need to also look into that. Yes, if there is anything that we haven't really stopped, it is the parade that happens on the border on every single evening. Now the Pakistanis are also, doing mega construction on their side. Their side of the enclosure is also getting bigger and bigger. So we have to ask ourselves, what are we actually achieving out of that parade? So we are I'll be very blunt. Some Pakistanis told me कि हम लोग ये नफरत का बाजार लगाना कब बंद करेंगे? ये जो जहर का टीका हम हर रोज 15-20 हजार लोगों को लगा रहे हैं, हमें इसको खत्म करना होगा। जब आपके दरमियान डिप्लोमेटिक टाइज नहीं है, when you're not even trading with each other, why are we, meeting at that one point? So there is that for me is a moment of reflection. I spoke to the poor farmers as well, and I must name that poor farmer. His name is Mithu. Mithu came up to me and said कि साहब मैं एक गरीब किसान हूँ, मेरे यहाँ पे डीएपी खाद का जो बैग है that has cost 14,000 Pakistani rupees. Now the same DAP bag in India is available for 1350 rupees. Even if you were to take the exchange rate into account, it shouldn't cost more than 5,000 Pakistani rupees. So I guess it's about time that we think about those poor people who are suffering because of the trade not happening between both the countries. We need to think about all those patients who were being treated in India, especially the liver and kidney patients. We need to think about all those individuals whose livelihood was actually depending on the cross-border trade. I spoke to Mushad Ahmed Sahab, the former Foreign Secretary, Khurshid Mahmood Kasuri Sahab, Parvez Hood Bhai, Bina Server, you name it, countless Pakistani intellectuals, and each and every person said that we would want India and Pakistan to restore the diplomatic ties. That is the first step we need to take. And if we can talk about cricket and all those things that are not going to matter, but the first and foremost thing is to restore the diplomatic ties. For me personally, I can assure you that Pakistanis are really, really keen on going ahead with these ties, but they are essentially victims of their own narrative. The Pakistani establishment, the army establishment, quote unquote, said that we have never accepted the Indian constitution. So scrapping Article 370 doesn't really bother us. However, the civilian said that, until and unless the Indian government goes back to reversing the Article 370, we won't establish any ties with them. So now, अब वो जो अपने आप अपनी जबान में कहते हैं, and plenty of people said that at the Fez festival as well, कि हमने अपने आप को एक बंद गली में धकेल दिया है. We have left no room for diplomacy. So Pakistan has to be brave, and they must actually ask the Indians, and that was the sentiment echoed by the External Affairs Minister in a couple of months ago. He said that it is Pakistan that needs to approach us for the trade and also for the restoration of diplomatic ties. So I'll just stop at that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Imtiaz Alam Saab from Lahore. Yeah, you have to do something so that we can hear you. He's just there.
Shah Saab, can I?
No,
Sorry to interrupt
it's
here.
fine now.
There was a message from Shamshad Ahmed Sahab, especially for you and others.
Hello.
And he's
I'm speaking.
We don't want to, Imtiaz Sahab, if you could just give me 10 seconds, please. So he said to me that please convey this message to all my friends in India that we would want this partition to be undone in the cultural sense, not in the political sense. So we are ready for that, and it is for the Indian government to, reciprocate the gesture. Thank you.
Mr. O.P. Shah and the very three distinguished panelists sitting with you, Farooq Abdullah Saab, Mani Shankar, and Ansari Saab. And I congratulate you for having launched this book and brought together varied views on this topic, which is almost has become interactive. I will not be making loud claims, nor I will be getting into polemics, which is our style in the subcontinent. I'll say a few things. First, and small things. Can we start living across the border in a normal way? And for that, can we have normal diplomatic relations? The first thing is essential. Perhaps now even Russia and America have restored their diplomatic relations, even if the war continues. Why can't Pakistan and India have proper, full diplomatic relations? And we should open a line of communications at all levels. It should be at the level of military establishments, ISI, RAW, army, politicians, cabinet, prime ministers, and also among civil society people. It should be a very all-out interaction at various levels. Because by not engaging various sectors, we allow some people to disrupt the whole process. Three, that we have kept SARC dormant for too long, and that is not good. India-Pakistan stalemate or deadlock is also badly affecting SARC. If you cannot have the SARC summit in Islamabad, you can shift it somewhere else, not in Dubai. We can go to the next destination. Who is going to be having the next turn to preside over SARC? We can go there. And we can start with small thing, but very important thing. That when I've been seeing Delhi under great big clouds, thick clouds of pollution, and similarly that was happening in Lahore. Why can't we have, and we cannot fight all alone, separately, this environmental crisis, this pollution? And this is a very big crisis for both India and Pakistan and also other countries like Bangladesh, like Sri Lanka and others. So why not have a SAARC summit on environment? How could the South Asian nations together tackle this biggest existential challenge? These are some of the few steps which we can initiate, and I think there shouldn't be any big problem if there is some will in New Delhi and in Islamabad. Then I would like to remind that we have a very, very bad habit in subcontinent diplomacy, that we agree on something, and in the next stage when we get when the tension again emerge, we forget the agreements we had reached and we start again from square one, from zero. I think whatever we have agreed in the past, we should start from there, not again reinventing the wheel. For example, the trade agreement reached between Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and the government of Asif Ali Zardari when he was the president, that was a marvelous trade agreement on which Pakistani trading community was in full agreement, and the Indian trading community or businessmen were also in agreement. Why can't we start with that? And we had almost agreed on Siachen during Rajiv Gandhi ji period and Benazir period. Manishankar will confirm it, that there was an understanding reached. So we can have some movement from where we have left. And lastly, I would say there was a great breakthrough on Kashmir even that reached between Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and President Musharraf. That was a 4-point formula on which India and Pakistan had agreed. Why can't we start the negotiation even on Kashmir, starting with the Manmohan Singh Musharraf understanding, if not accord? So there are things, what I'm saying is that we had agreed in the past. And lastly, I would say that the language of animosity, hate, and exclusion should be left behind. It doesn't help India, it doesn't help Pakistan. And now I would say, if I ask the luminaries sitting along with you, that does India have any policy towards Pakistan? And I ask myself, does Pakistan have any policy towards India? I don't think Pakistan has any policy towards India. We are living in the past, continuing with old dead wood, and we are not trying to think afresh. So what I'm saying is that Pakistan has no India policy at the moment. I can say about Pakistan quite definitely, India is averse to any negotiations at the moment. I think I would rather recall the very pleasant visit of Prime Minister Modi to Lahore and his talks with Nawaz Sharif in Lahore. That was wonderful. Those kind of things can be done again. And I would also appeal to the media in both countries that they should not be fanning hatred and not. Media is full of disinformation and without fact check, like about security threat during these cricket tournament taking place in Pakistan and in Dubai. There was no security threat. Even though there is a terrorist attack in KP, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, but there were a lot of security measures were taken to ensure that this tournament goes without any disturbance. So whatever is the case, I would appeal that let Indian media and Pakistani media stop bashing each other's country. And I congratulate you again for bringing out this book and providing this platform for a cross-border dialogue. Thank you very much.
Very much indeed. Dulat Saab, known to entire community in continent, would speak for next 3 minutes. Dulat Saab.
आप बुलाते हैं चले आते हैं बार बार अब ये नई किताब निकली है इसमें क्या है मैंने नहीं देखा इस किताब में क्या है मुझे नहीं मालूम अगर मैंने कुछ लिखा है तो भी मैं भूल गया हूँ तो क्या कहा जाए सब कुछ तो कहा गया है आई एग्री विद ऑल आवर पाकिस्तानी फ्रेंड्स आई वुड नॉट डिसएग्री विद एनी ऑफ देम दैट आई थिंक if one is to be honest, the fault lies more on our side. But I would like to make a point. I think what is most frightening to me as a watcher or an observer is not just the India-Pakistan relationship, but what is happening in Kashmir and what might happen in Kashmir. It scares me, or is beginning to scare me. पीछे the Pakistan Army chief at what is called the Kashmir Solidarity Day in Pakistan occupied Kashmir said that we have fought 3 wars over Kashmir and we are willing to fight 10 more. I mean, are you suggesting war then? I don't think either side wants war or is really suggesting war, but these kind of statements are very provocative. And one statement leads to another. And as somebody who has watched Kashmir very closely, it worries me, because terrorism is not ending. And I mean, every now and then there's an attack somewhere, either in Jammu or in the valley or Poonch, Rajouri, wherever it is. It goes on and on and on. And if Pakistan were to say they are not involved, I think they need to do a check within who is involved. बाकी ये है कि I don't think time is on either side. It doesn't help either side. Just waiting it out or playing it out. I can tell you that in India, to be honest, there are very few people interested in moving forward with Pakistan. That is the fact. And the reality is that what have you got to offer? It's like Trump's 5 million offer of a 5 million visa, a dollar visa, gold visa, whatever it's called. Now, there is no appetite here for dialogue or peace because they say, show us what do you have to offer. Put it on the plate, put it on the platter. Pakistan has nothing. So, I would say I wouldn't disagree with what Javed Jabbar Saab said. But, this just a back channel and everything kept under the wraps and secretive. Yeah, it's okay. It should happen. I presume it's always happening. But more than that, something different has to be thought out. And I think it has to be thought out by Pakistan. That could the Prime Minister of Pakistan just come to India, ring up Prime Minister Modi and say, I want to come to Delhi, I want to meet you. And then I want to go to Ajmer Sharif or whatever it is. So something different has to be thought of, and something different has to be planned by somebody. And again, coming back to Kashmir, it's beginning to worry me because we have, I think, the most decent, reasonable, absolutely straight chief minister at this point of time in J&K. We're fortunate. And if he is being provoked to again talk about plebiscite. And he said very clearly yesterday that Modi ji can never compare with Atal ji. So there it is. He put it very, very straight. So I think people here in Delhi need to think and also think about, not talking and how long not talking. There is also the issue of Punjab. I think we get, sometimes we forget Punjab. I think Punjab is very important because if there is one thing that could make things happen, I think it is Punjab to Punjab possibly. Because on our side of it's one state on our side, apart of course from Kashmir, which wants a forward movement, which wants opening of the borders, which wants people to go across. Like somebody from Pakistan said, if we don't agree politically, at least let's move forward culturally. So there is everything that is common between us, except the desire for peace, which I must concede, I think is greater on the Pakistan side. Thank you very much.
Very much, Dulat Saab. Ajay Punjani from Pakistan.
Thank you, Opi Saab. I hope I'm audible. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for giving me this honor to write the chapter and be among all of you. Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, and Assalamu Alaikum. 13 years ago, I wrote a letter to my newborn niece, a child of Indian, Pakistani, and Canadian heritage, asking, will you help bridge the superficial distinctions that divide us into us and them? Today, despite our advancements in increasing connectivity, the world remains very fractured, and the divisions between Indians and Pakistanis are fueled by state narratives, media, and historical grievances persist. Yet, my personal experience as a Pakistani student in India 13 years back revealed how quickly these walls crumble when people meet face to face. Identities, though rigid in some ways, are very fluid in others. I experienced that when we engage in shared space of trust, the stereotypes quickly dissolve and empathy emerges. The question before us is, how do we really create more such spaces of dialogue, as Maniji was saying, and connection? There is an answer to that. I think we need to see a bit distant as a youth, as a student, not as a politician or a bureaucrat. I feel that the shared history of this land gives us a gift, but also a huge responsibility. And that responsibility is that the future generations inherit narratives of trust, but not division. I hope that we collectively create a space like Opisha Sahab, you're creating for us to replace walls with bridges, fear with familiarity, and suspicion with solidarity. Many children who will come and following us will not be lucky to be like my niece, who is both Indian and Pakistani, but we need this discourse and many other discourses similar to take this conversation forward. And I hopefully agree that the dialogue must continue. Thank you.
Very much indeed. May I now request would you like? No. Yeah. I'm first requesting the people who have contributed article, please. Kapil Kak, we can't miss any meeting without Kapil Kak start speaking for even couple of minutes. That must.
Thank you very much, Opi Shah Sahab. First of all, I must congratulate you that in this era of darkness, you are lighting a lamp. हिंदुस्तान पाकिस्तान के जब रिश्ते की बात होती है तो लगता है कि दस्ते वहशत में कभी, दस्ते रफूगर में कभी, बस तो एक खेल हुआ, मेरा गरेबान ना हुआ. तो लगता ये है कि हम लोग बिल्कुल बच्चों की तरह से लड़ते हैं आपस में. जब कुट्टी हो जाती है तो डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशन तकरीबन ख़त्म हो जाते हैं, और जब दोस्ती होती है तो हम आगरा भी आ जाते हैं, बिना प्रोग्राम के लाहौर में लैंड भी कर जाते हैं और गलबैयाँ डाल करके बातें करने लगते हैं. तो मैं सिर्फ इतना ही कहूँगा कि मेरा आर्टिकल है वो इस किताब में शाह साहब ने ही ग्रेशियसली पब्लिश दैट आर्टिकल कि ये जो लॉ जो ये शमा इन्होंने शाह साहब ने जलाई हुई है ये जारी रहनी चाहिए। और जो गुजराल साहब ने नवाज शरीफ साहब को कहा था मालदीव में कि दिल मिले ना मिले हाथ मिलाते रहिए, तो हाथ भी मिलाना इस वक्त इस दौर में बहुत ज़रूरी है। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
From Karachi, my good friend, and he wants to visit India. He has some relatives. He's an activist and politically very sound to offer his comments. Haq Saab, aap farmaएं.
Thank you, Shah Saab. It is. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Shah Saab, am I audible?
Very much.
Okay. Shah Saab, it is very kind of you for the kind words as well. And I am really, I and my other friends, they are very much inspired by your commitment. And as one said that you about you that you are very optimistic, and he used some phrase also for you. He is that much optimistic, and you have spent more than 4 decades of optimism, and you are standing by your beliefs and conscience. For that, I congratulate you very much, and you have given me an opportunity to write an article in this book. I have written whatever I have been discussing with you in different sessions. So let me just go back to those that I strongly believe people-to-people contact is the right answer. We have failed for last 76 years or so, and last so many years, talking to government, bureaucracy to bureaucracy, establishment to establishment, and are unable to reach any end to enormity. But this doesn't mean that they don't matter. They matter, but we have to make them. We have to push them. We have to put forward that, look, for God's sake, forget war. For God's sake, go for peace. Because both of us are losing. We are losing the hard-earned resources and money in war. Trillions of dollars have been lost on both sides. Had these trillions of dollars invested in human development, in countries' development, they would have brought about much change. And today, the majority of our, I believe, majority, if not majority, if equally, the people living in both the countries are living under poverty line. They could have been elevated from poverty level, which we failed, and we wasted our resources. So let's think in this manner that let's not put our money in war machines, but rather in human development. Secondly, I taking an opportunity, seeing Mr. Farooq Abdullah also sitting here, that the question is not of India and Pakistan. Kashmiris are the main stakeholder because they are suffering. They are suffering most. They are losing their lives, their everything, and they're on both sides. I say that they are the main stakeholders. But in all dialogues, I see it is between India and Pakistan mostly, and the Kashmiris are being neglected. They should not. It is their homeland. Let them decide. Why should we force them to you should be part of India or part of Pakistan? If anybody desires to go for an independent status, let them go for it. Let them decide. Why plebiscite between India and Pakistan? Why not that there should be a third option? If the Kashmiris want independent Kashmir, let them go for that. So this I believe that we should do. And whatever we go ahead, let's forget the past. We can't live in past. We can learn from the past. We can't live in it. We can't live in history. Let's focus on making history and not live in history. And this we can only do once we take that it is the question of humanity, of human sufferings, and all this, and this should end. Most of us have spoken a lot on this. I will not repeat for that. One of our revered speaker, he has said that he was the last High Commissioner, and I, on a lighter note, will say that I wish that he was not the last. There will be many to come. Let others. Let's see ahead that we resume our diplomatic relations. We resume our normal relations and forget about bitter things. Secondly, my proposal was for a free zone. I again repeat that on both sides of the border, I have written in this book also, both sides of this border, we can create a free zone where freely our two people can meet on a permit, on a pass, entry pass for a week, for a couple of weeks. And that free zone should be a cultural and social gathering place where people could move in freely without any visa. Some sort of things can be worked out, modalities can be worked out, that how that can be possible. It is possible. We can make a free zone across the borders between India and Pakistan, and especially when I talk about Kashmir, I say that we need to withdraw the forces from Kashmir, both the Kashmirs, on our own border sites, and open the line of control for the Kashmiri families to move freely, to go to each other, meet their loved ones. This should be done. This can be done. This is a very small thing. This can be done. But there should be will to do it. So lastly, Shah Sahab, I would say that let's war, not hatred, no, love, not hatred, peace, not war. Let's live together. Let's live together. We have a long cultural and social values to share, not anonymity to share with each other. That should be the last thing. Thank you very much.
Chak Saab, Kapil Kak Saab, the well-known peace activist in the subcontinent. 3 minutes, Kak Saab.
I don't need 3 minutes. I think so much one wanted to say on this occasion has already been said. I'd like to commend Shah Saab amazing individual who has persisted in the worst of times and brought out 2 volumes on India-Pakistan relation. And I really wish to Allah if he had got some OP Shahs in India, in Pakistan as well. We would be initiating this kind of a dialogue on a regular basis from there as well. Why let it be only Mr. OP Shah? The essential problem of India-Pakistan bilateral relations is lack of trust and a mindset of structural inadequacies on the Pakistani side, and in the last decade or so, certain ideological underpinnings of the ruling dispensation. So you therefore have reached a cul-de-sac from where you're unlikely to get out. I speak as a Kashmiri. I also speak as a student of grand strategy and international relations. If you look at the strategic and geopolitical balance or imbalance in the world, we are pitted on 2 sides. I don't have to go into details why, but we are on 2 sides. So it will take a lot of effort on the part of the people of India and the people of Pakistan. The governments are locked in a cul-de-sac, as I just said. A point was made about the 4-point formula. I had the privilege of being during the period 2003, 2007 on the track 2, which was running parallel to the track 1. And there were times when track 2 was a little ahead. We were pushing track 1. Can you sort of move forward? And I can proudly say that was a huge contribution. But it's not just there was a problem with President Musharraf. I mean, I agree with much of what my Pakistani friends have said, but there was a sort of a pushback from both sides. I don't have the time to explain that. In so far as 4-point formula is concerned, I think I would like to offer a 15-second comment that perhaps this is the only way forward. From any standpoint that you examine, non-territorial resolution of the issue of Jammu and Kashmir is the way forward. Otherwise, we are actually living in a cuckoo la la land. Farooq Saab has, I mean, one is so privileged to be sitting next to him, the iconic leader of Jammu and Kashmir, the tallest leader of the country today. He has said 100 times, please contradict me, Farooq Saab, that what Pakistan has, keep it. What India has will remain. Rest you forget, and try and through 4-point formula, get the partition undone culturally and socially and in terms of people-to-people relation. A point was made on terrorism. I agree. How can I ever disagree with my friend Bubbles Dulat Saab? Yes, terrorism is continuing, but we forget that the casualties, this is of interest to everyone. In 2003, at the peak of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, my land, my home, my everything in life, we were losing 3,500 people every year in 2003. In 2013, just 10 years later, and Farooq Saab's government came in also during that period, and the 4-point formula also kicked in. You will be shocked to know these are Government of India figures. From 3,500, we came to 176. 3,500 to 176. How did we do this? Dialogue, talking to each other. That was the period, 2003, 2006. So I think in terms of lesson, that is a good lesson to draw upon. Unless and until we build that trust, unless there is a change of mindset, unless we build up understanding on the people-to-people level. Let me give you 4 positives. It's not that nothing has happened in the last few years. The ceasefire line agreement of 2021, it's still operative. It's a proud thing for us because we were firing. I've been on foot on that border, right from Ranbir Singhpura to Uri with Yashwant Sinha and our group. And we saw what was happening house to house. And that is operated. Exchange of nuclear installations of both countries on 1st of January every year has happened. Kartarpur Sahib corridor has happened. I give you a small example. Not many of you will know. There's a small group of people called Azade Dosti, Aghaze Dosti, beginning of Dosti. They publish a calendar every year. What does the calendar have? Paintings by children of schools in India and children in schools in Pakistan, which are put on that calendar about how they see the other side. So we are the old people are the sinners. The children, innocent as they are, they're looking to a future. And I think that is the positive note I would like to conclude. Dialogue, resumption of High Commission by Pakistan in New Delhi, and people-to-people contact on a continuous basis. Produce thousands of OP Shahs in India, rest of India, as also in Pakistan. And we can then look step by step, very gradually. It's going to be a gradual process. Do not expect peace overnight. We are fooling ourselves. We will be actually indulging in both illusion, delusion, and sometimes hallucination. If you think that India-Pakistan will be perfect 5 years and 7 years from now, perish that thought. Kashmiri in me tells me, and worst of times, we are full of hope. फारूक साहब, याद है ना आपको? जो कुछ भी हो, कितने भी अंधेरे का मौसम क्यों ना हो, अंधेरे का माहौल क्यों ना हो, हम उम्मीद में रखते हैं. हमेशा गालिब साहब को याद करते हैं, but I will reserve that for some other time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kapil Kak sir. Is Imtiaz Saab there from Pakistan? Imtiaz Gul Saab?
जी जी हैं, मौजूद हूँ मैं.
Please offer your comments.
Okay, ji, thank you very much. I must first congratulate you for putting this compendium together. And this is indeed a pleasure to see Ajay Basaria Sahab and Dr. Farooq Abdullah and Manishankar Aya Sahab. Indeed, a great pleasure to see them all together for a cause that you are so much invested in. You had already cautioned me just about 2 minutes each. So I prepared just a brief note on this. And I would say that, despite its economic muscle and cultural soft power, magnanimity remains basically absent from India's current mindset and attitude. Instead of seeking a win-win approach, India's policies seem dictated by a desire to belittle and browbeat smaller nations. Bangladesh, I was there and I heard so much about how they thought India did to them. And it was just petty actions, I would say, just such as, refusing visas for Pakistan's cricket team, taekwondo team, and not letting their teams visit Pakistan. And very recently, and even because India is the sponsor of the Afghan team. So its captain said shortly before the Champions Trophy that they had security concerns visiting Pakistan. Imagine, that they're using security as a weapon. By a person and his entire team were born and grown up in Pakistan. And these guys have also started talking of insecurity, and initially they had these inhibitions. Very recently, a Pakistani woman's medical visa to India was rejected for the second time after having pended, for security check for several months since May last year. So this is an extremely disgusting situation. And that actually reminded me of something that one of Ajay Basaria's colleagues in Islamabad, I wouldn't name him, but there was something happening at that time between the two countries. And I just drew the High Commissioner's attention to that. And I still remember very vividly his words. He said, I don't know when we will move past this adolescent rivalry. This encapsulates this relationship that we currently are going through, and it's very, very uncomfortable for people like us who have been wanting to build bridges between the two countries. But petty egos, I think, have come in the way of even resuming the dialogue, particularly I personally think since the arrest of Kulbhushan Jadhav sometime in 2016, and this is very unfortunate. All the calls, the ideals are very noble that we should get together, and I personally have always objected to a third country dialogue. Why should we go to a third country when we have to sort out our own issues? So I think the spirit is very good, the intentions, the desires are very noble, but for that, I think India shall have to act as a big, magnanimous elder brother. Given Pakistan's own critical situation, we are losing more people to terrorism, externally sponsored terrorism, than Indians may be using in Kashmir or the Kashmiri themselves. So we have to rationalize the discourse on terrorism rather than using it as a weapon, as a shield for denying dialogue with Pakistan. I will end here. Thank you very much.
Very much indeed. Is there any other friend from Pakistan who would like to offer comment? Before I invite Dr. Abdullah to offer his comments, is there any friend from Pakistan?
Yes, this is Shahid Nadeem from Lahore. If I may say a few words.
You would like to, please?
Yes, if you allow me, if you can hear me.
Go ahead.
I am definitely stakeholder in many respects. I'm a Kashmiri born in the valley and living in Lahore, and my mother tongue is Punjabi, and I have also I'm a playwright. So all these three identities make me a very important stakeholder because I need peace, I need sharing of culture and sharing of dreams and sharing of expertise in my particular field. And for the last 40 odd years, we have carried on the flag of Theatre for Peace. We have traveled to India, all over India, from Kanyakumari to Jammu or even Srinagar, from Kolkata to Amritsar, and everywhere we were received with the warm embraces. And similarly, the theatre makers, when they visit Pakistan, especially Lahore or Karachi, they receive similar kind of accolades. In last few months, we have had theatre groups coming from India performing in Lahore in our Dosti International Theatre Festival, Faiz Festival, Lahore Literary Festival, Punjabi Conference. So I think a lot is happening, but obviously somehow it has become more one-sided, and we are having problems in getting access to to India and getting visas and responding to invitations which we receive for festivals and tours across the border. So I think things are not as depressing when we come to the cultural exchange. And a lot of our esteemed guests have mentioned that cultural interaction is still one way we continue our dialogue and stress on things we share, the heritage, the literature, the dreams, the common goals which people of this region have always been aspiring for. So I would just end with this note that if the main road, the political or diplomatic road is blocked, there are several other side roads. So let's carry on playing, let's carry on performing, let's carry on singing, and waiting till the main roadblocks are removed. Thank you.
Indeed. Friends, I know there are many people who want to speak, and I probably have to call.
Shah Sahab, I am waiting Latif Akbar from Kashmir, Muzaffarabad.
Oh, please.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I announced it.
I have some problem of the internet. That's why I could not hear all the speakers. But it's a great honor for me to be part of this discussion. And I'm thankful to you, sir, that you have been always very kind. You have holding such meetings on Zoom to all the stakeholders. And it is a great honor for us. His Excellency Farooq Abdullah is here in the meeting. And I just reminded that when Farooq Abdullah Saab came to Muzaffarabad in late 60s, and then I was a student, I was among those hundreds of thousands of people who greeted him in Muzaffarabad. It was really raining, and today is also raining. I had the honor with the Air Marshal Kabir Kak in Dubai, who met Dubai in such a meeting. So I am very, very impressed by him as well. And I'm thankful to all the speakers who have spoken on this crucial point when India and Pakistan are not at talking terms with each other. There is some hope that the people of India and Pakistan will come together with your efforts, with all the efforts of the participants of this conference, of this meeting. So this is very important that no doubt we, as a Kashmiri, I want to say, we want that there should be a peace between India and Pakistan. There should be good relations between India and Pakistan. It will help the people of Jammu and Kashmir to resolve their issue. And we want not only the good relationship between India and Pakistan, we want the relation between the whole of the world. Wherever there is a conflict, there are issues that should be resolved. It will come at the end. There should be the people of Kashmir will get their peace in this region. But unfortunately, this is definitely some of the speakers very rightly pointed out. The Kashmiris are stakeholders, and they are not being asked what they want. They should be given a chance to have their voice in all over the world and in India. Now, this is very unfortunate. The people in Indian-held Kashmir, they are now been given this chance. Now, the 370 Air Marshal, because I have heard him on an Indian TV channel, he very rightly pointed out that 370 is the only link between India and Jammu and Kashmir state, occupied Jammu and Kashmir state. If the link is taken away from this, then there will be no link between the other. We will revert back to the position of 26th of October 1947. But you have taken our identity. 35 is our shinacht. We cannot leave the shinacht of our people. But this is very important for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. So I think to normalize the relations between India and Pakistan, it is must that some progress should be made about Jammu and Kashmir resolution. And for this, it is important that the political prisoners should be released, and there should be some definitely the army should be taken back to the barracks and not on the in the field or in the towns and cities of the valley, particularly in valley. And then there will be a chance that we can go together and find a way. It was a good gesture that the people from here, from Azad Jammu and Kashmir, wanted to go to Srinagar and to Jammu, and Jammu for Srinagar comes from there to Muzaffarabad and other parts of Azad Jammu, Mirpur and Kotli, Rawalakot. But Modi's government has stopped that bus service and the traveling system of this. So it is important that there are certain people on both the side of this country, in India and Pakistan. They are extremists, but there are more people who want some peace in this region. They are very valuable voices. I think that the people sitting here, if they can raise together a voice
to normalize the situation in Pakistan with India and Pakistan, it can happen so. But for that, I would request again that there should be a peace in Srinagar, there should be peace in Valley, there should be the armed forces should be withdrawn, the political prisoners should be released, and all the false cases should be withdrawn from them. So I think that my suggestion will be taken into consideration, and we would like that this is the only we have virtual meeting, and we cannot get face-to-face meeting with each other. So I would request both Indian and Pakistan government that such meetings should be held either in India or in Pakistan or in Srinagar or in Hyderabad. They should be held that the people should eat each other, and we can talk much about with the peace solutions instead of this. We are talking on the Zooms, which may be a good suggestion, will be a good thing to move forward. But it will not help much us to bring the peace in this country. I am thankful to Opi Shah Sahab, to you, and also all the participants who are sitting over there. Thank you very much, sir.
Hello.
Thank you, my sir.
I am
finished,
Zahid
sir.
Masood. हेलो
दोस्तों, मुझे 2 मिनट दिए गए हैं और 2 मिनट में की बात को खत्म चाहूंगा।
हेलो
मैं व्यक्ति आपके बीच में बैठा हूं कि दोनों कल्चरों को मैं जानता हूं, और जब से डिवीजन हुआ तब से आज तक इस डिवीजन को माना नहीं, ना मेरे परिवार ने माना, ना बड़े बुजुर्गों ने माना, क्योंकि आज जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, शाह साहब को पहले तो मुबारकबाद देना है कि उन्होंने इस चैप्टर को लगातार अपनी कल्चर को, अपनी सभ्यता को मिलाकर इसकी ओर काम करते रहे और बहुत बड़ी पुस्तक को जन्म दिया। कुछ शब्द मेरे भी उसमें छापे गए हैं। मैं हर रोज पाकिस्तान के प्रोग्राम को देखता हूँ सोने से पहले। ये मेरा रूटीन है, क्योंकि मेरे पुरखे वहाँ के हैं, मेरी मिट्टी वहाँ की है, तो मेरा लगाव है। जब तक ये लगाव है और हिंदुस्तानी भाषा जो बोली जाती है वही पाकिस्तान में बोली जाती है, जिसपे अनेक उर्दू के शब्द भी हैं और हमारे पंजाबी के, हिंदी के, कश्मीर के सब शब्द उधर भी बोले जा रहे हैं, इधर भी बोले जा रहे हैं। दोनों लैंग्वेज कॉमन है। उसका असर जो पड़ा है, जो हम कर रहे हैं, उस पर बहुत बड़ा पड़ा है। मैं यंगस्टर्स को सुन रहा हूँ आजकल। पाकिस्तान का नौजवान जिसका जन्म पार्टीशन के बाद हुआ है और बाद में हुआ है, नफरतों को देख चुका है, जंगों को देख चुका है, सुन चुका है, आज वो क्या सोच रहा है मैं उसको सुनता हूँ। बहुत फर्क आ गया है, इतना फर्क आ गया है सोच में, वो हिंदुस्तान के जो नौजवान है उनमें भी आया है। ये जो अच्छी बात हुई है उसको हम पुराने आदमियों को उनको इंकरेज करना चाहिए। हमारे तो देखिए अब जाने के समय आ रहे हैं, इतिहास बहुत बड़ा है, मगर यंगस्टर्स जो मिलके एक होके रहना चाहता है, वहाँ का गीत, यहाँ का संगीत, यहाँ की भाषा, वहाँ की भाषा, बाहर दुनिया में मिलते हैं हम लोग, तो वहाँ फर्क नहीं लगता है। मैं स्वामी हूँ, उसके बाद भी मुझे तो पंजाबी बोलने वाला लाहौर का आदमी मिल जाएगा तो मुझे तो खाना भी बना के खिलाएगा। स्वामी होगा ये नहीं देखेगा, वो देखेगा ये मेरे पुरखे हैं, मेरे पुराने हैं, मेरे बुजुर्ग हैं। ये जो तहजीब है ये हमारी समाप्त नहीं हुई 76 साल में भी, और ये कभी होने वाली भी नहीं है। और जब तक ये होने वाली नहीं है तो हमको क्या करना चाहिए? सरकारें क्या करती हैं उसमें हम और आप लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते, मगर पीपल टू पीपल रिलेशन उधर भी लिखा जाए, इधर भी लिखा जाए, और कम से कम एक काम तो करें, और वो ये है कि पाकिस्तान में अंग्रेजी बहुत कम बोली जाती है। मेरे तो हर घर में अंग्रेजी बोली जाती है, जबकि वहाँ जो संपर्क भाषा है उनमें और मेरी भाषा में कोई अंतर नहीं, उसमें सब बात है। हमें आपस में यह भी बात करना है तो हमारी लैंग्वेज भी बची रहेंगी। तो लैंग्वेज जो है वो इंकरेज करती है हमारे संस्कारों को, हमको मिलाने की और कोशिश करती है। तो मैं अधिक नहीं कहना चाहता शाह साहब, मैं चाहता हूँ एक सेमिनार और करूँ, मैं उसमें सहयोग करूंगा, जिसमें सिर्फ यंगस्टर्स को हम बुलाएं। हमारा नौजवान क्या चाहता है उसकी बात आप सुनते नहीं है। मैं सुनता हूँ, मैं जाता हूँ हम इंटरफेथ करते हैं, सारी दुनिया में जा रहे हैं, तो हमें आपसे ज्यादा समझ में आती है कि वहाँ पाकिस्तान के लोग मेरे साथ कैसा व्यवहार करते हैं। तो मुझे ऐसा आपको बोलना पड़ेगा यहाँ आके। मगर नौजवान जब आज एक दूसरे को चाहने लगा है, वो पंजाबी नहीं जानता और पंजाबी की गीत सुनता है यहाँ। तो मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ, ये प्रयास आपका सराहनीय, हम सब लोग आए हैं और लोग भी आएंगे। बहुत प्रयास हुए, मणिशंकर जी ने भी किए, फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब ने भी किए, हम भी कोशिश कर रहे हैं, आप भी कोशिश कर रहे हैं। मगर नौजवानों को लाइए, बुलाइए और उन लोगों को एक साथ बिठाइए। मुझे लगता है इस समस्या का समाधान युवा निकालेंगे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much, Swami
Hello.
ji. Uh,
Shah Sahib.
Is there anyone from Pakistan?
Yes, I am from Pakistan. My name is Zahid Masood. I want to say something.
In a minute, please. Just
Yeah, I am Pakistani. I am living in USA in New York. So I have this privilege to listen to you participate in this show. So I want to say that, we should not defend wrong decisions of our governments. We are peace-loving people. We should speak, we should say something which is contributing to our peace between both these countries. And there was somebody said that there should be, Pakistan to take initiative for these peace talks, but there should not be any condition. Any of the country can do that. And focusing on this book, actually, for which we are here, I want to say, In Pursuit of Peace, Improving Indo-Pakistan Relations, Volume 2 is an insightful and thought-provoking compilation that sheds light on both the challenges and possibilities of fostering peace between India and Pakistan. By bringing together a diverse range of perspective, the book contributes meaningfully to the discourse and diplomacy, cooperation, and reconciliation for those interested in South Asian geopolitics, Indo-Pak relations, or conflict resolution. This volume is a must read. And I congratulate to both to O.P. Shah Sahab and all the participants in this conference. So thank you very much.
my apologies to those whose names I could not announce. I hope you'd appreciate that we must have Dr. Farooq Abdullah to speak now. And I hope we will have some meeting once again. Dr. Farooq Abdullah.
ओपी शाह साहब, आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। आपने मेहनत की, आज ही नहीं, साल से मैं देख रहा हूँ आप हिंदुस्तान और पाकिस्तान की दोस्ती के लिए क्या क्या नहीं आपने किया। अफसोस इस बात का है कि उम्मीदें बहुत थी जब ये शुरू हुआ। समझते थे कि इंशाअल्लाह बहुत जल्दी दोनों मुल्क एक दूसरे को पहचानेंगे। हाँ, अंग्रेजों ने लकीर तो डाल दी, और अफसोस ये है अंग्रेजों ने सिर्फ लकीर डाल दी, हमने दिलों पे भी लकीर डाल दी। अफसोस तो इस बात का है। नफरत से कोई भी काम आसान नहीं होगा। जब तक हम नफरतें नहीं छोड़ेंगे, तब तक हम ये समझें कि बस पहुंच ही गए। कल मैं 2 दिन पहले अमृतसर गया था, वहाँ हरगोविंद वहाँ पे घर जाके मैंने कहा बॉर्डर देखें। मैंने कभी भी अटारी नहीं गया था जिंदगी में। वहाँ पहुंचा और ये जो फासला हम देखते ना यहाँ से यहाँ तक, मुझे एक स्लाइड पे ले गए जहाँ ہماری زمین یہاں ہے، اور اگر آپ ایک پاؤں اٹھا کے ادھر ڈالیں تو یہ پاکستان ہے. ہم وہی لوگ جو ایک تھے، مگر ایک رہ نہیں سکتے. اس کی وجہ بھی نفرت تھی. اس نفرت نے ہندوستان اور پاکستان بنایا، محبت نے نہیں بنایا. اور اس نفرت کو ہم آج تک جی رہے ہیں، اور اللہ جانے کب تک جیئیں گے. سوال یہ ہے کہ کب ہم یہ سوچیں گے کہ ہم سب انسان ہیں. مجھے واجپئی جی کا یاد آتا ہے جب وہ ٹنگدھار آئے. پاکستان کا بارڈر میرے خیال سے جہاں وہ تقریر کر رہے تھے اس کمرے سے راستے تک ہے. اور انہوں نے پہلی دفعہ یہ کہا دوست بدلائے جا سکتے ہیں، پڑوسی بدلائے نہیں جا سکتے. یا تو ہم پڑوسیوں کے ساتھ دوستی میں رہیں گے اور دونوں ترقی کریں گے، یا پھر نفرت میں رہیں گے اور دونوں کی جو امیدیں ہیں آگے بڑھنے کی وہ کم ہو جائیں گی. آپ نے سب نے سنا یہاں بہت کچھ ہوا، بڑی باتیں ہوئی. ہمارے وزیر اعظم پاکستان گئے، بس میں گئے، وہاں پہ بہت اچھی بات چیت ہوئی نواز شریف صاحب سے، اور امیدیں بڑھ گئیں کہ ضرور اس کا حل ہوگا. پھر باتیں چلی. واجپئی جی نے مشرف صاحب کو یہاں بھی بلایا، آگرہ گئے، سب تیار تھا، کچھ نہیں ہوا. یعنی کب نہیں کوشش کی گئی کہ ہم لوگ دوستی میں رہ سکیں. وہ کب آئے گا، وہ دن کب آئے گا جب کہ ہمارے لوگوں کو یہ ہوش آئے کہ وہ زمانے گئے جب کہ ہم ایٹم بم استعمال کر سکتے. آج جو ہم نے 75 سال میں جو ہم نے کچھ بنایا ہے اور انہوں نے بنایا، اس منٹوں میں سیکنڈوں میں ختم ہو جائے گا، اور کتنے کروڑوں مر جائیں. یہ دیکھتے ہوئے بھی آپ لوگ کوشش کر رہے ہیں ہر اپنی جگہ پہ. مگر ایک ایسی ہوا ہے جو ہی آپ پاکستان کا نام لیتے ہیں یا پاکستان سے دوستی کی بات کرتے ہیں تو آپ پہ مہر لگائی جاتی ہے، یہ آتنکوادی ہے، یہ ہندوستان کے دشمن ہے. کب تک یہ نشانہ بنایا جائے گا؟ الیکشن جیتا جاتا ہے کشمیر کو لے کے. کبھی آپ نے کوئی الیکشن کی اسپیچ سنی ان کی؟ اس میں 370 کے بارے میں بات نہیں کرتے. ہم نے کشمیر اور ملک کو ایک کر دیا ہے. اس کے بغیر کوئی چیز سنی آپ نے؟ وہاں بھی یہی حال ہے. کشمیر ہماری شاہراہ ہے، سارا ملک ان نے ختم کر دیا کشمیر کے اوپر. اور صحیح بات ہے، ہماری دوستی جو باہر کے ملکوں سے ہے کس لیے ہے؟ اگر آج ہم فرانس کے دوست ہیں کیونکہ ہم ان کے جہاز خرید رہے ہیں، ان کے سب مرین خرید رہے ہیں. آج اگر ہم ٹرمپ ہمارے ساتھ اچھے سے بات کرے گا کیونکہ ہم 35A فائٹر ان سے لے رہے ہیں. یہ ایک عالمی مصیبت آ گئی ہے کہ یہ بڑے ملک بھی چاہتے ہیں کہ ہماری دوستی نہ ہو. ان کے آرمومنٹ کہاں جائیں گے؟ صحیح کہا سوامی جی نے. یہ جو خربوں روپے ہم یا وہ خرچا رہے ہیں، کیا وہ لوگوں کی بہتری کے لیے نہیں خرچا جاتے تھے؟ سڑکیں، پانی، صاف پانی پی سکیں، اسکول اچھا ہو، ہسپتال اچھا ہو، کالج اچھا ہو، یونیورسٹی اچھی ہو، کہ ہم لوگ انسان رہ کر چلیں. نہیں، وہ طاقتیں کبھی نہیں چاہیں. ان طاقتوں کو ہم کیسے ڈیفیٹ کر سکتے ہیں؟ وہ جب ہم اپنی آتما کو جگائیں گے. جس دن ہم اپنی آتما کو جگائیں گے نہیں ہم نے رہنا ہے تو دوستی میں رہنا، نہیں تو نفرت میں ہم مر جائیں گے. بہت ہو گیا، 75 سال ہو گئے. باپ کی بیٹی پار ہے، مر رہی ہے، باپ جا نہیں سکتا. وہاں اس کی یہاں ماں ہے، وہ خود وہاں ہے، وہ یہاں نہیں آ سکتا. کب تک یہ تماشا ہم دیکھتے رہیں؟ مگر ہے صحیح تو یہی ہے جو انہوں نے فرمایا. ہم چاہتے تو ہیں کہ جلدی دوستی ہو, مگر اس کی راہیں بہت مشکل ہیں, بے حد مشکل. میں سمجھتا ہوں یہ بہت آسان, کیونکہ جب تک ہمارے حکومت کے لوگ اور ان کے حکومت کے لوگ یہ نہیں سمجھے کہ اس میں بربادی ہم دونوں کی ہے, ہم دونوں ایک غلط راستے پہ چل کے تباہ کر رہے ہیں یہاں کے لوگوں کو یا وہاں کے لوگوں کو. جس دن میں وہ سمجھ آ جائے گی تو انشاءاللہ راستہ نکلے گا. کبھی مت یہ سمجھے کہ راستہ نہیں نکلے گا, نکلے گا ضرور. ایک دن ہوگا, اللہ جانے ہم زندہ ہوں گے یا نہیں, وہ راستہ نکلے گا. اسی جرمنی نے سارے یورپ کو تباہ کیا. آج اکٹھے بیٹھ کے وہ بات کر رہے ہیں, اپنے مسئلے حل کرنے کی کوشش کر رہے ہیں. ہم نے بھی اندرا گاندھی جی کے وقت میں ساک آیا تھا, میں ساک نہیں جانتا تھا کیا ہے. میں 74 میں پاکستان گیا تھا, وہاں سے میں آیا تو میں نے مسز گاندھی سے ملا اور وہاں جو کچھ کہنا تھا میں ان سے کہا, تو میں نے ان سے پوچھا یہ سارک ہے کیا, میں نہیں جانتا. کہا فاروق یہ ہے ہم لوگ جو نیبرز ہیں اکٹھے ہو کے مسئلے حل کر سکیں, اپنی انتی کو بڑھا سکیں اور آگے بڑھے جس طرح یورپین یونین بڑھ رہا ہے. مگر آج حالت دیکھیے ان ساک کے وطنوں کی اور ہندوستان کی. کیا نیپال ہمارا دوست ہے؟ آج تو بنگلہ دیش بھی ہم کھو گئے. کیا نیپال سچ مچ ہمارا دوست ہے؟ آپ دل میں دیکھیے نا, اوپر تو کہنے کے لیے بہت. مالدیوز کو دیکھیے, برما کو تو چھوڑ دیجیے, افغانستان کو دیکھ لیجیے. جب تک ہم یہی سمجھیں گے کہ بھیا اگر ہم نے راستہ نکالنا ہے تو بنیاد ساکھ سے کرو, کیا جائے گا, ساکھ شروع کرو. تیار نہیں ہے, اسی میں پاکستان اور ہندوستان کے جھگڑے نے ساکھ کو بٹھا دیا. اب یہ ضرور ہے کہ یہ جو کوشش آپ کر رہے ہیں یہ کوشش بند مت کیجیے, تو یہی راستہ ہے جس سے کسی منزل پہ پہنچا جائے گا, نہیں تو ہم بھٹکتے رہیں گے. اور اس منزل پہ پہنچنے کے لیے ہم نے اور لوگوں کو, جیسے نے کہا, جوانوں کو لانا ہے, جوانوں سے بات چیت کریں, جوانوں کو سمجھانا ہے کہ نفرت سے ہم کہیں نہیں پہنچیں گے. جب بالا کوٹ ہوا تھا, آپ کو نہیں معلوم, اس وقت ڈر لگ گیا یہاں پہ کہ یہ ایٹم بم تو نہیں استعمال کریں گے پار سے, تو فوراً امریکہ پہنچ گئے ان سے کہنے کے لیے پلیز یہ دیکھیے کہ ایسی بات نہ ہو. مگر ایک تماشا ہوا اور جس میں 40-42 انسان شہید ہو گئے, انہیں کوئی قصور. جب تک ہم ایمانداری سے یہ نہیں سوچیں گے, وہ مسلمان ہو, ہندو ہو, سکھ ہو, عیسائی ہو, بودھ ہو, کوئی بھی ہو, کہ ہم نے اکٹھے چلنا ہے, تبھی یہ وطن بچے گا, تبھی پاکستان بچے گا. اور اس کو حاصل کرنے کے لیے ہم نے یہ کوشش کرنی ہے, جاری رکھنی ہے. طوفان آئیں گے, طوفان کب نہیں آئے, طوفان ہر وقت آئے. 47 سے دیکھیے ان کے یہاں کتنے طوفان آئے, ہمارے یہاں کتنے طوفان آئے. مگر چل رہے ہیں اس امید سے کہ وہ دن آئے گا جبکہ پھر سے وہ سورج چمکے گا جس میں ہم سب اکٹھے رہ سکیں. مگر منزل آسان نہیں, کوئی چیز آسان نہیں. آج زندگی آسان نہیں. آج چلنے کا پتہ نہیں, کہ آپ باہر نکلیں گے تو اسکوٹر مار جائے, گاڑی آگے آپ کے چڑھ جائے, کوئی پتہ نہیں. مگر امید پہ دنیا قائم ہے اور اس امید کو ہم نے چھوڑنا نہیں چاہیے. میں آج بھی آپ سے کہتا ہوں, کئی چارجز آپ پہ لگیں گے, کئی کہیں گے یہ تو بکے ہوئے لوگ ہیں, ان کو پتہ نہیں کہاں سے پیسہ آ رہا ہے جس سے یہ کر رہے ہیں. مگر خاموشی سے ہم نے اپنا کام کرنا ہے, اس دوستی کو حاصل کرنا ہے. اس دوستی میں ہی ہے ہماری انتی کا, ہمارے آگے بڑھنے کا راز اسی میں ہے. اور نفرتیں ٹوٹ جائیں جس دن یہ دو ملک اکٹھے ہو جائیں. نہیں تو آج کیا ہوتا ہے, وہاں کچھ ہو جائے مائنورٹی پہ, ہم مسلمانوں کو یہاں بھگتنا پڑتا ہے. اور یہاں پہ مسلمانوں پہ جو ہوتا ہے تو ان کو نہیں دکھتا کیا ہو رہا ہے. ये एक कॉम्प्लेक्स मामला हो गया है। इस मामले में हमारे लिए कुछ भी नहीं रखा है। हमें खुशी है कितने लोग आज यहाँ भी हैं, पाकिस्तान के वहां भी सुन रहे हैं आपको। उनसे भी कहूँ, जरूर रास्ता खतरनाक है, अंधेरा है, मगर याद रखिएगा काले बादल हर वक्त नहीं रहते, वो झड़ जाते हैं, फिर से सूरज चमकने लगता है। इंशाअल्लाह वो दिन आएगा तब हिंदुस्तान और पाकिस्तान की दोस्ती में वो सूरज फिर चमकेगा और हम दोस्ती में रहेंगे और इंशाअल्लाह दोस्ती में तरक्की करेंगे, इसमें मुझे कोई शक नहीं। आप सबको मेरी तरफ से और पिशा साहब और जिन लोगों ने इस पर कंट्रीब्यूट किया उन सबको मुबारक करता हूँ जो आपने वक्त निकाला और कंट्रीब्यूट किया। पाकिस्तानी भाइयों से भी कहूँगा हमने हिम्मत करनी है, हिम्मत मर्दा मदद खुदा। इंशाअल्लाह अल्लाह हमारे साथ है और हम इस मंजिल को पाएंगे एक दिन। फिर से मैं ओपिशा साहब का बहुत मशहूर हूँ जो ने मुझे वक्त दिया यहाँ बोलने का। कई दफ़ा ने बुलाया, आ नहीं सका मैं, मगर मेरा दिल हर वक्त इनके साथ था। हर वक्त ये सोचता था कि एक दिन आए कि ओपिशा साहब बिला वीज़ा के बिला किसी चीज़ के बाहर जा सके। मैं यूरोपियन यूनियन में घूमता था, किसी जगह भी मुझे किसी गाड़ी को, मेरी गाड़ी को रोका नहीं गया कि तुम्हारा वीज़ा है, तुम ये हो। एक मुल्क से दूसरे मुल्क ऐसे जाते हैं जैसे एक गली से दूसरी गली में जा रहे हैं। अल्लाह करे वो दिन आए कि हमारे लोग और उनके लोग भी इसी तरह आ सके और जा सके, जहाँ कोई उनसे नहीं पूछे तुम कहाँ से हो, तुम क्या हो, भाई ये कहे ये लगे नहीं ये भी मेरा भाई है, मैं भी इसका भाई हूँ। अल्लाह करे वो दिन आए। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
Last want to raise question, ask questions, offer comments, but perhaps some other day. May I request my colleague Rohini Singh to thank us. Mr. Basu, 2 minutes with you, please.
I'll not take that. Distinguished guests, esteemed dignitaries, and friends. It is truly an honor to be here today as we conclude this remarkable event. The release of Volume 2 of In Pursuit of Peace, Improving Indo-Pak Relationship, compiled by Shri O.P. Shah Sahab. This occasion has been a testament to the power of dialogue, the pursuit of understanding, and our shared commitment to fostering peace. On behalf of the organizers, I extend my deepest gratitude to our honored guest who graced this occasion with their wisdom and presence. A special thanks to Hamid Ansari Sahab, former Vice President of India, for his insightful reflection on the complexities of India-Pakistan relationship and the path forward. We are deeply grateful to Farooq Abdullah Sahab for his experience. Continues to inspire discussion and reconciliation and discussions on reconciliation and regional stability. A heartfelt thanks to Dullat Sahab for his deep understanding of diplomacy and mentioning of Punjab in the peace process. This event would not have been complete without the participation of our esteemed guests from across the border who have joined us virtually. Your contribution has added immense value to this discussion. Pakistan's Charge d'Affaires, Saad Ahmed Warid Saab is here. Your presence reaffirms that despite challenges, the spirit of dialogue and cooperation remains alive. A special note of appreciation for O.P. Shah Sahab, whose dedication and perseverance has resulted in this crucial work, encouraging deeper understanding between the two nations. His effort brings in together diverse voices, serves as a beacon of hope for peace in this region. To every attendee, journalists, diplomats, peace advocates, thank you for your presence and your keen interest in this discussion. Finally, my heartfelt thanks to all those who worked behind the scene to make this event a success, the organizers, technical teams, and all those who have contributed in various ways. With this, I propose a vote of thanks, and I hope you will all show appreciation to the organizers and participants. Thank you.
Those who I am just told by Sunil that some of you want to buy the book, where is it available?
It is available at the staircase, and we're just sort of offering it at a discounted price for today. So those of you who want to buy it, there's a gentleman sitting just when you exit the place, there's a staircase there.